For the past 11 years, Great American Ballpark has been a part of many great moments, including 2 division-clinching wins, walk-off grand slams, and even a no-hitter. But tonight might be the biggest of them all. The Great Eight will be reunited for the first time since winning back-to-back World Series in 1975-76. And to honor the best second baseman to ever play the game, Joe Morgan. It's going to be a special night. Plus, we've got a pretty good game as well. It's the Dodgers and the Reds. It's Joe Morgan weekend, and it starts right now on Fox Sports Ohio. After taking 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals, no time to breathe for the Reds as they welcome in the red-hot Los Angeles Dodgers for a 3-game weekend set. A renewal of an old rivalry on Joe Morgan weekend coming up on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi again, everyone. I'm Jim Day. My pleasure to be working once again alongside Chris Welsh. And Chris, very fitting that when the Great Eight reunites that the Reds are playing the Big Red Machine's biggest rival, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And let's talk about the current Dodgers, because mid-season, unbelievable, they were talking about firing manager Don Mattingly. Since then, they're on a historic run.
Well, back about the middle of June, he was just maybe days away from being let go as a Dodger manager. But the team began to catch fire. They began to get players back off the disabled list. They got tremendous play from a young player named Yasiel Puig, a rookie who at that time no one had ever heard of, and boy, no one has been able to stop them ever since.
Since June 21st, the first day of summer, the Dodgers are 53-14, Chris. They're calling it the summer of love in L.A.
Well, they've got maybe the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball as far as starting rotation, and the Reds will get their fair share of that on Saturday and Sunday. But they've also scored a lot of runs. They've got a tremendous bullpen. It's a complete team. It's a very expensive team, but it's a complete team and a very tough team to play on the field.
Injured and resting. The Dodgers have been banged up a bit. Yasiel Puig was pulled out of Monday's game. Discomfort in the right knee, but he's back in the lineup tonight. Matt Kemp still out. And the scheduled starter for tonight, Hyun-Jin Ryu, day-to-day with a stiff back. He will not go tonight.
Well, instead, the Reds will get another left-hander. Ryu pitched a very good game against the Reds in L.A. Chris Capuano, tonight's starter, also pitched a pretty good game against the Reds out there. It's a tough ball club up and down. No way to cut it or sugarcoat that.
While Joey Votto has been in a slump, others have picked up the slack, particularly Todd Frazier in that series against St. Louis. His bat is heating up.
Well, Todd Frazier, you know, he's so strong. Even when he takes an odd swing, the ball goes a long way. He hit a couple of home runs last night against the Cardinals overall. He came out of what was a very prolonged slump for Frazier, but he's got a couple of home runs, 2 doubles against the Cardinals in that series. And this was a series in which the Reds had, and the Cardinals too, had a hard time scoring runs. So you get a guy hot down towards the bottom of the lineup. You know, Todd Frazier's a guy that they depend on. They depend on his energy, and that kind of energy is contagious. And hopefully that momentum that they built against the Cardinals will carry over here against the Dodgers.
We are looking forward to tonight. Hope you are as well. It's the Great Eight reunion. And the Dodgers and Reds, just like old times. Up next, we'll talk pitching. Lefty versus righty. Capuano versus Lee.
Once again, couldn't ask for much better weather for a baseball game. We're looking at temperatures that are just into the 70s for us here to start the game, right around 70 by the 7th inning. Getting a little bit chilly there for that final out. We're down to around 68 degrees by the time we're ending the game and everybody is heading home. Other than a little bit of a coolness in the air by the end of the game, I don't think you could ask for much more. Let's go Reds.
Indeed. Mike Leake, Chris looking for a bounce back, and the Reds have seen Chris Capuano many times.
Well, Mike Leake has struggled over his last 5 or 6 ball games. There's no doubt about that. In his mind, he feels like he's only making a couple of mistake pitches during the game that have cost him a lot of runs. Capuano, 4-7 record. He's battling for a spot in the rotation as they head towards the end of the season with former Red Edinson Volquez, but he's pitched very well his last couple of times out, including a very good game earlier this season against the Reds when they were in Los Angeles. Capuano and Leake, neither of them are going to blow you away. They get you with the smoke and mirrors and changing speeds.
Greatest second baseman to ever play the game. It's his weekend. It's a special night. The Great 8 reunion. Reds and Dodgers first pitch around the corner. Ohio. We're about ready to go here on Joe Morgan weekend. You see the number 8 behind second base is Mike Leake, set to do battle against Carl Crawford. Lead off from the left-hand side for the Dodgers. Crawford 10 for his last 19, including 3 doubles. First pitch in there for a strike, and we are underway. Mike Leake has not faced the Dodgers this season, Chris.
No, he has not. Overall against the Dodgers, he's 1-2, but you can throw it out the window, really, if you haven't faced the team this year. Mike Leake will probably want to be a little more aggressive than he has been the last couple of times out. And against this Dodger team, they're talented through and through. There's no doubt about that. Carl Crawford, one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now.
That pitch high, 1-2 the count to Crawford. Calling balls and strikes behind the plate. Jim Joyce, first base umpires Jeff Nelson, Jim Wolf at second, Ed Hickox down at third base. 1-2 pitch. Just missed.
Now that's a key right there. That particular pitch, that little front door fastball that Leake throws, 2-seam grip, has a lot of movement. They call comeback movement right there. And the idea is to get the left-handed hitter out of there and throw it in there for a strike.
Swing and a miss. Crawford goes down, first out of the game. Here's how Don Mattingly will line them up tonight. Crawford, as you just saw, leads off. Yasiel Puig, the outstanding youngster, batting second. 3, 4, and 5. Gonzalez, Ramirez, and Ethier. Juan Uribe at third base. Mark Ellis at second base. Hanging the signs for Chris Capuano. Tim Fedorovich. Don Mattingly, Evansville, Indiana native. Grew up as a Reds fan. Now in his third season as the Dodgers skipper, and talked about in the open. At one point, he was on the verge of perhaps losing his job. That's how badly the season was going for the Dodgers, but an amazing turnaround, which we'll talk about throughout the evening. Well, Mike Leake gets past the first pitch to Yasiel Puig, the rookie Cuban sensation, which is a good thing because Puig is hitting .596 with 7 home runs on the first pitch this season. Incredible numbers. Here's the 2-0 pitch from Leake, in there for a strike. Puig left Monday's game for the Dodgers with discomfort in his right knee. Did not play on Tuesday, pinch hit on Wednesday, and struck out. Dodgers were off yesterday, so many wondering whether Puig would be back in there tonight, and indeed he is. Two balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball to short. Backhanded by Cozart. Long throw off the mark. Puig's got some speed, so you got to hurry up that play, and it's an infield base hit.
Now, there are some runners that when they hit a ball in this hole right here between third and short, you've got a real good chance of getting him. I'm not so sure that Puig is that guy. He really gets down the line, even with some leg issues that he's had recently. Nice play, good attempt by Cozart, just unable to get him.
That'll bring up Adrian Gonzalez, one of the few Dodgers, maybe the only one in the starting lineup today that's been scuffling. Here you see his numbers overall this season: 289, 19 long ones, and 87 runs driven in. But over the last 13 games, hitting just 184. First pitch down low.
Well, he never seems to struggle too much at this ballpark. And anecdotally anyway, of course, when he came in here as a member of the San Diego Padres, and I haven't looked up the numbers, it just seems like this guy is always a formidable out. And
well, you are correct.
Well, you know what? You just have a feeling when a guy gets hot, every time he steps up here, he's a dangerous hitter.
One of those pure hitters. I'm sure if you lined up most stadiums in Major League Baseball,
well, you know,
he's got a good average.
The intriguing thing about this particular matchup is that Adrian Gonzalez is from San Diego, and so is Mike Leake. Adrian Gonzalez is older, so he's got to figure that he has seen and noticed and admired Adrian Gonzalez while he was a youngster. And here he is in the big leagues pitching against him in a pennant race.
2-1 the count on Gonzalez. He has never faced Mike Leake. First time that you see this matchup.
He probably thought in his mind many times, if I ever face Adrian Gonzalez, this is how I'm going to pitch him. I'm going to blow him away.
Nice plan, in theory. Not many pitchers blow him away, though.
You know, you mentioned the numbers on Gonzalez recently, really struggling over the last 13 games. Gonzalez is essentially the Joey Votto of the Dodgers. And maybe it's just a coincidence that each of these first basemen are scuffling. People in Cincinnati are wondering what's going on with Joey Votto. Well, people in L.A. are thinking the same thing about Adrian Gonzalez. This happens to baseball players. You get hot, you get cold, you figure out what you need to do, and you come back. And there's a reason over the course of a long period of time, a big sample size, that these guys are going to be at the top of their profession.
And you keep running them out there because eventually they're such good hitters that they're going to snap out of it. Throw over. Puig's a guy that you can catch sleeping or catch being over aggressive on the base pass. We've seen that. Be a guy that will steal as well. 10 steals, but been caught 8 times, so he's got some speed. All about the jump for him. 2-2 pitch, and we're full.
Look at the size of Yasiel Puig. You have to keep in mind that Joey Votto's a big guy, but look at the shoulders and the muscles in the upper back of Puig. I mean, the guy is really like almost like a Bo Jackson, maybe a little smaller than Bo Jackson, but I mean, the guy's built more like an NFL running back than he is a baseball player.
He really is. I was going to say an NFL running back. Just solid. There he goes. Ground ball to Votto. His only play is going to be to first. He'll record the out on Gonzalez, but Puig moves on to second. And here's the Reds defensively, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Round the outfield, Ludwig, Chu, and Bruce. Frazier manning third base. Cozart at short. Phillips wondering whether he would start tonight. The answer is yes. The quad contusion last night. Votto at first base. Your battery mates Mesoraco and Leak. So with 2 down in the inning, a man on second base. Here's Hanley Ramirez. All-star lineup throughout for these Dodgers. The names are very familiar. The numbers are big. The team numbers are outstanding. And Dodger Mania in LA has had a major rebirth this season. Which isn't real surprising. In fact, Dusty Baker said before the game, you know, everyone is surprised about how well they played. Well, I'm not. Look at their payroll. Look at the names on their team. They should be playing well. One-oh pitch. Forget about it. Wow. Second deck home run, and I mean way out of here. Hanley Ramirez touches up Mike Leake. And with 2 outs in the top of the first, the Dodgers strike first for a 2-0 lead. Mercy me, he crushed that ball.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the resurgence of the Dodgers, and they'll point to a lot of things, Yasiel Puig, but in my mind, it's all about Hanley Ramirez, the guy in the middle of the lineup here. He gets his foot down on time much more now this year than he has in the past. And he's got tremendous power. He comes to the ballpark with an exuberance and excitement to play. And he's the guy that if you hang the ball out over the plate, I mean, that's a line drive into the second deck. You don't see too many of those here.
Now former college teammates, or college mates, will go head to head. 2 Arizona State guys. Leak versus Andre Ethier. And Ethier's had success in his career versus Leak. 5 for 9. 2 home runs, 5 runs driven in his career off of Leak. Bouncer to Cozart. Record the 3rd out, but not before. Hanley Ramirez puts the Dodgers up 2-0. Reds coming to bat. Selling truck in America 36 straight years. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Well, Dusty Baker facing his former team tonight. He knows all about that rivalry between the Big Red Machine and the Dodgers. He manned left field for the Dodgers for many, many a year. But now, wearing red, and he'll send out this lineup. Shin-Soo Choo will lead off. Brandon Phillips back in the 2-hole. 3, 4, and 5 are Votto, Bruce, and Ludwig. Frazier, after a hot series versus the Cardinals, at third. Zach Cozart will hit 7th and play shortstop. Battery mates Mesoraco and Leak. On the hill, lefty the Reds are very familiar with. Second season with the Dodgers, Chris Capuano.
Well, he's been around a long time. I think there are many, many teams and players that are familiar with Chris Capuano. He was an 18-game winner in 2005 with the Milwaukee Brewers. This year he's having a hard time finding the wins, but he has pitched well in his career recently against the Reds. In fact, most recently, had those overall against the Reds with his career, but he pitched that game on July the 28th when the Dodgers beat the Reds 1-0 out in L.A. Really nothing as far as overpowering fastball. Throws a fastball about 50% of the time. Mid to high 80s. Got a really good changeup and a slider. So it's fastball, slider to left-handers, fastball, changeup to right-handers.
He'll face lefty Shin-Soo Choo to lead off for the Reds. First pitch high for ball 1. Choo, as we documented many times early on in the season, really struggled against left-handed pitching. Since July 1st, 279 average versus lefties. So he certainly stepped it up, but the whole time, whole season, he still continues to get on base, whether it be a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher. He is an on-base monster. Here you see the split overall. Has never faced Capuano in his career. In there for a strike. 1-2.
Looks like Choo's thumb is still bothering him a little bit. If you notice on his left hand, he's got that red little pad on his thumb. That's something that's kind of plagued him all year long. You know, a hitter gets a bone bruise or he gets a little tender spot on your hand somewhere, and unless you sit out a long period of time, it never gets better. Every time you get jammed or every time you get a ball on the end of the bat, you seem to feel that little stinger.
Ground ball to second. Easy play for Mark Ellis. 1 down. Here's how the Dodgers will man it defensively. Brought to you by your Ford dealers. Crawford, Ethier filling in for the injured Matt Kemp in center field. Puig in right field. Uribe, Ramirez, Ellis, and Gonzalez around the infield. Battery mates Fedorovich and Capuano. In fact, those battery mates, you can call them the Tobacco Road Battery. Fedorovich, North Carolina Tar Heel. Capuano, Duke University.
Well, Capuano was an economics major at Duke, and he's put a lot of what he's learned at Duke to use as a major league pitcher, because he pitches by adding and subtracting on the fastball and the changeup, and I would imagine an economist does a whole lot of that.
No question about that. He's a smart dude. There's no question about that as he faces Phillips. He was the class valedictorian at Cathedral High in Massachusetts.
That's what the rest of us say about the valedictorian. He's a smart dude.
Exactly. You nailed it. Coming from a guy that had like a 2-point something grade point average. Yeah, he's just a smart dude. Fouled back. Saying class valedictorian just is too formal for guys like you and I.
You know, the other thing he's been famous for throughout his career is keeping himself in just perfect condition. He's a guy that long before it became popular to hang out in the weight room and work out and really stay toned and strong, Chris Capuano was doing that before pitchers really got into the swing of things.
Well, working out is a smart thing. He's a smart dude. In fact, he postponed his pro career back in the day. Missed the first 2 months of his pro career to complete that degree at Duke University. 1-2 the count to Brandon Phillips. Long look in. Here comes the pitch. Fouled off again.
Where Capuano is really good against the Reds out in LA, he had that changeup working. I mean, you can see the fastball from 87 to 90 miles an hour. Certainly hittable compared to what the Reds have seen recently with the Cardinals in that bullpen coming in there throwing in the high 90s, every one of them. But his change of speeds are very good and very effective.
Swing and a miss, and Phillips goes down. First strikeout for Capuano, and 2 down in the inning. Chased a bad one there.
Now there's the changeup right there. I wasn't sure whether it was a changeup or a breaking ball when it came, because it drops so much that it has the action of a curveball, but it has a spin of a fastball, and that's what makes it so difficult to pick up.
Reds fans wondering, will this be the night that Joey Votto snaps out of it? Over the last 90 at bats, it is the worst 90 at bat streak of his career. He had an 8-game hitting streak from July 31st to August 9th. His batting average was .325 at that point. Since then, 16 for 90, 178 average. And he's hitless in his last 13 at bats. Everyone goes through it. But when you're a hitter like Joey Votto, and as we talked about Adrian Gonzalez, at some point, history will say that he will snap out of it. Will it be tonight? Pretty good matchup to break out. Big time success against Capuano, .444 average career. 1-2 pitch. High. Over that 90 at bat streak that we talked about, Votto struck out 27 times, but he continues to walk. 24 walks over that span. .350 on base percentage, and he's 1 pitch away from walking again.
Yeah, I watched him very carefully take batting practice today, and I got to tell you, he's hitting line drives all over the ballpark. I mean, mechanically, I don't think there's anything wrong with his swing. Physically, there's nothing wrong with Joey Votto. Sometimes you just get into a funk, whether you don't see the ball well, whether you don't have the right approach mentally. But as long as you continue to do that, if you're hitting 100, at least you're getting on base.
No question about it. He walks once again.
I mean, there are other guys in the lineup that are paid to hit in addition to Joey Votto.
No question about it. In fact, Votto was asked, you look at the National League leaders in walks now, Joey with 112. He was asked, are you okay physically? Yes, his answer. Are you tired? No. Do you have any explanation why you're going through this slump? He says, I have no earthly idea. I'm doing everything that I've always done. This just in, it's a pretty tough game. So his good friend Jay Bruce will step in. 2 outs, Votto on first. First pitch strike. Bruce has faced Capuano 13 times in his career. 3 for 13, a couple of home runs. Big shift on for Bruce. There you see it. Only the third baseman Uribe on the left side of the infield. Actually, they made a switch. I take that back. Uribe is playing where a second baseman would normally play.
Yeah, Uribe is right here behind the second base back. He's normally the third baseman.
Correct. Hanley Ramirez stays in the typical shortstop spot, and almost a softball shift. We have a short fielder in right field. And second baseman Mark Ellis.
Well, with this kind of shift, you may ask yourself, well, why wouldn't Jay Bruce just lay one down right there and leave it up to Ryan Ludwig? Well, Jay Bruce has hit left-handers very well this year and for home runs. over the last few years.
Certainly a misconception about Bruce about him. Early in his career, he did struggle versus left-handers. You can't say that anymore, like you said. Beginning with the 2010 season, Bruce leads the major leagues in home runs by left-handed batters off of left-handed pitchers. 42 home runs, 7 ahead of the next guy. And I think Capuano has looked at those stats. It's 3-1.
You know, pitcher doesn't have to look at the stat sheet. You know, you may not know the numbers. You may not even know the correct number of home runs, but you just know the guy's a tough out. And you can remember in your mind the pitches that you've hung to allow that hitter to hit a home run.
3-1. In there for a strike or even up.
And conversely, the hitter can do the same thing. He may not know how many home runs or hits he's had off Capuano, but he probably does remember, I got a pitch, I got into it well, and he can tell you where it went and how good it felt when he hit it.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Votto will be running from first. There he goes. Fly ball into right center field. Look out, look out. Ethier makes the catch, and the Reds strand 1. Will donate a Toyota Tundra to the hometown heroes of Matthew 25 Ministries. Members of this humanitarian and disaster relief organization will join Reds Chief Operating Officer Phil Castellini before the Reds take on the Pirates and will be honored and then awarded the Tundra. All compliments of your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Juan Uribe to lead off the top of the second for the Dodgers. LA with a 2-0 lead off of a first inning 2-run home run by Hanley Ramirez. Uribe steps in with a .276 average, 7 home runs, 40 runs driven in. 2 for 3 in his career off of Leake. Has a home run, 2 RBIs. Just under 300 average in his career in 33 games against Cincinnati. Chopper, Frazier, Votto, 1 down.
Well, normally you don't see a center fielder screaming that loud and being that demonstrative with his body actions, but when you have Yasiel Puig playing in right field, he picked up the ball very late, and he went sprinting over into the essentially dead center field and nearly ran into Ethier. And Ethier had a long conversation during the in-between innings. with the manager Don Mattingly, with a couple of the coaches, and he wants to make sure that in the future he doesn't get steamrolled by a guy who probably should be in the NFL.
He runs into you, it'll sting. He was calling for his life. He wasn't calling for the ball. But Yasiel Puig, as good as he's been, and he's a tremendous talent, maybe best talent we've seen in decades come into Major League Baseball, but he has had his problems with listening to people. If you follow the Dodgers, you read the articles, you watch their games, he's been a tough guy to get through. He's been over aggressive on base paths. He has snubbed former players that have tried to talk to him, etc. All part of adapting to the culture, one, and two, simply growing up. The ground ball off the bat of Mark Ellis, 2 down. That'll bring up Tim Fedorovich. Big catcher. 44 average, 3 home runs, 14 runs driven in. They call him FedEx because of his last name, obviously, Fedorovich, but he's logged a lot of miles going up and down between AAA and the big club. Made a lot of deliveries, if you will. But talking to the Dodger announcers and one of the coaches, they're high on him as he lines out softly to Brandon Phillips. They think Fedorovich might be their catcher of the future. 2-0 Dodgers going to the bottom of the second. $95 million. Drawing is at 11 p.m. tonight. 95 million biggins. Here's today's IGS bringing the energy. We're highlighting the starters for both of these teams. The 2 best starting staffs in baseball this season. They say pitching and defense wins. And indeed they do, because the 4 teams on this list are 4 winning clubs that are off to the playoffs, barring anything unforeseen. Dodgers with a 3.09 ERA from their starters, and the Reds quietly, the Pirates get a lot of pub, the Dodgers get the pub for starting pitching, but quietly, Chris, 3.37, the Red starters right in there.
Well, when you factor in this ballpark, it even becomes more impressive what the Reds have done this year. And of course, for the Tigers to be there in the American League, it's even more difficult, of course, with no pitcher batting. So what the Reds have done in this ballpark, it's hard to measure. I know that there are sabermetricians that'll figure out exactly what the ballpark effect is, but believe me when I say it, this is not an easy place to pitch.
doubt about that. Ryan Ludwig, first at bat of the night. He loves to hack at that first pitch. Easy fly ball to left and one down. And in steps Todd Frazier. Scuffled for a long time this season, but of late really turned up the wick. In fact, he was very impressive in that Cardinals series. Look at the numbers overall. Not going to knock anyone's socks off with that. He does have a 4-game hitting streak against those Cardinals. 3 multi-hit games. A couple of doubles, 2 home runs, 4 runs driven in the Cardinals series. Frazier's faced Capuano 9 times. Only 1 hit. 1 for 9. Struck out 3 times. Here are those numbers we're talking about. The Jersey Kid. Looking at a 1-1 pitch inside. Two balls, 1 strike. Fouled back.
Got it.
2-2 pitch from Chris Capuano. Reds trying to solve Capuano. Inside, 3-2. Chris, you mentioned the last time that he faced the Reds, July 28th, went 6 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, didn't walk a batter. He was outstanding. Frazier's punched out by Jim Joyce. He thought he had ball 4.
Capuano, as you can see from that spray chart, is going to live on the edge of the strike zone. He's a guy that has been around a long time. He knows that if he tries to push it down the middle, he's just going to get a lot of chances to back up third base. So he's good with his control, and those guys that are good with their control sometimes get the edge when it comes to those marginal pitches. Although our box tracks had it marked as a strike the entire way.
First pitch strike to Zach Kozar, who steps in riding a season-high 10-game hitting streak. He has really turned it up at the bottom of the lineup. Struggles hitting second, well documented. As he's moved down, hitting 7th or 8th. He's been really good. The Reds are going to get to the promised land where they want to go. They're going to need offense throughout. 10-game hitting streak. Second longest active streak in the National League. Only Denard Span with a 17-gamer. Better than Kozart and others. We'll talk on the mound. Capuano and Fedorovich. Capuano coming off of one of his best outings of the season. It was Saturday versus the Padres. 7 innings, 1 run.
I'm not sure what's going on out here now. The trainer's going to run out and Don Mattingly make his way out. Everybody's going to come in and talk to Capuano about evidently something going on physically with him. He probably had something going on as he warmed up, or maybe even in his last bullpen session.
He looks like he's talking him out of it.
Yeah, he's winced right there, and I don't know whether that looks like the kind of winch you have when you try to pitch with a bad back. Maybe a leg issue, groin. tenderness.
They're going to give him some pitches precautionary to see if he's all right. In front of an onlooking Don Mattingly and a home plate umpire Jim Joyce, Dodgers trainer.
Well, the one thing that all major league teams at this time of year are better prepared for is their pitcher to go just a few innings and then be taken out of a game due to injury. You look at the bottom of the rotation with Capuano. They have a fill-in Edinson Volquez, but you also have expanded rosters where these teams now have more pitchers in the month of September than they've ever had before. Rick Honeycutt, pitching coach, longtime Dodger himself.
We're still having the meeting at the mound. Mattingly has gone back to the dugout, and they're looking at their scorecard. You got to think Capuano's coming out right here, and they're trying to figure out who's coming in. There he goes to the phone. And indeed, they're going to make the call.
Well, it's grabbing me if you can read lips, and he's going to take a long, slow walk to the dugout.
So we're going to have a new pitcher, and that pitcher's going to have all the time in the world to warm up. And he'll have the unenviable task of warming up on the mound.
Now, I'm not really so sure why they do that. Why they wouldn't let the new pitcher come in because of the injury. He's going to have all the time, as you said. But why make him warm up on the mound when you can warm up where you're more comfortable warming up, where you've always had a chance to warm up down in the bullpen? But he's going to choose to show everybody what it is to watch a big leaguer warm up for a ball game.
Peter Moylan will come in, the right-hander. Maybe it's punishment, but he comes on. It's our Skyline Chili. Call to the bullpen.
Counts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Cheer on your Reds Monday through Wednesday when they take on the Cubs. Take advantage of the Reds 4 for $48 offer presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Purchase 4 view-level tickets for only $48 and receive 4 vouchers, each good for a free B-Dub sampler platter, which includes nachos, onion rings, mozzarella sticks, and boneless wings. Yummy. To score this blazing hot deal, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to reds.com/tickets. Chris Capuano leaves for injury, and Peter Moylan comes on. The right-hander was a non-roster invitee to spring training.
Well, he's been around a long time, Moylan has, and I guess you may remember him as an Atlanta Brave, a young man that grew up in Australia, was one of the few Australian baseball players to make an impact in the major leagues. He was a mainstay in that Atlanta Braves bullpen, where a couple of years in a row there he pitched over 85 ball games. So Moreland continuing to chase the dream, signs on as a non-roster player with the Dodgers, and here he is in the major leagues in September. Kind of the same thing happened to him last year. He was a call-up in September by the Braves after spending just about the entire season down in their minor league system.
So he'll face Zach Cozart with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. The Reds trailing 2-0.
Now, we've seen this a couple of times. You see this a couple of times a year where the starter comes out with an injury. And more often than not, what happens is that you don't warm up the same way you do with the bullpen. You've got a leather lung behind one of the dugouts yelling, "Let's go! You're loose. It doesn't get any better than that," or whatever they can think of. And we saw it happen to Tony Cingrani in Texas.
Yeah.
With not very good results. He came in and was very wild, uncharacteristically wild. Moreland, being a veteran reliever, it may not affect him quite as much as it would a young pitcher like Cingrani.
Well, he's ready to go, and we are back to action. Cozart has never faced Moylan. Only a few Reds have faced him. Breaking ball for a strike. Only Bruce, Turris, Ludwig, Miller, Phillips, and Votto have faced Moylan. But very limited at-bats against this guy.
Now, this might be a one-batter appearance for Peter Moylan, because they've got a pitcher right-hander in the Dodger bullpen right now warming up.
Stephen Fife.
That's what those expanded rosters will give you the option of being able to do, to be on your third pitcher by the third inning.
No question. 1-2 pitch to Cozart. Swing and a miss. And at least for now, Moylan does the job. Reds are hitless. Dodgers up 2-0. Serious injuries, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. It is Joe Morgan weekend. In my estimation, the greatest second baseman to ever play the game. 10-time All-Star, 5 Gold Gloves, 2 National League MVPs, back-to-back in 75, 76. And, of course, a 2-time World Series champion. One of the heart and souls of the Big Red Machine. His number 8 adorned here at Great American Ballpark, one of the retired numbers. Joe Morgan now back with the Reds organization as a special assistant to the general manager. Actually has a locker in the Reds clubhouse. He's around these players a ton and is really a terrific influence on them. As Dee Gordon steps in, he was one of the call-ups for the Dodgers. And he will hit in the pitcher's spot, so indeed Moylan will face just one batter, as you said, Chris. Bunt by Gordon. He's a speedster. Gotta hurry. Frazier, tough play. And it's off of Gordon, and Gordon is hurt.
Got him in the back of the neck.
Rolling around. He's in a lot of pain. Hit him in the head, if you can read lips. They'll score a base hit.
That was actually a pretty good play by Todd Frazier. I mean, that was an excellent bunt by Dee Gordon. You're playing him short anyway because you're figuring that's part of his arsenal. But that's a nice play and a good throw, strength-wise anyway, a little bit up the line. But actually on that play, you're lucky Bono didn't get his arm run over by the runner coming down the bag. That's normally where you see the injury.
Caught him in the back first and then rolled up and hit the bottom of the helmet in the back. He's going to stay in the game.
Well, he's a thin dude, isn't he?
He really is. You remember when he came up with the Dodgers, they were thinking about, boy, this guy's got superstar written all over him. But he was so poor defensively.
He was the starting shortstop for a while. Of course, that all changed when the Dodgers made that huge trade and ended up bringing Hanley Ramirez in. That'll move you down the depth chart a little bit.
Yeah, he's kind of the forgotten guy. They're afraid to put him out there defensively. Back to the top of the order, and Carl Crawford. Crawford struck out his first time up to lead this game. Gordon getting a pretty nice lead over there at first. 1-0 pitch in the air. Left field. Ludwig's got it. One down. Gordon's still wincing over there. Still trying to shake off getting hit on that play by Frazier. So here comes Puig again. Infield single in the first and scored. And again, look out for the first pitch. Guy likes to hack at that first pitch and very successful in doing so. Another throw. Puig set the world on fire when he came up. Set the record for most hits in a calendar month for a Dodger rookie. And his 44 hits were the second most all-time for a player in their first career month, behind only Joe DiMaggio, who debuted with 48 hits in his first calendar month in 1936. So pretty good company. But his batting average right now, as you look at his last 4 months, is the lowest it's been this season. No, the lowest it's been this season is 342. My bad. That was on August 25th. Came in tonight 350 average. Well, Leake's got his hands full. He's got a speedster at first. He's got Puig at the plate.
Well, if you've got enough fastball, one way that the Reds have been able to keep Puig under control is just run up the ladder with it. But if you're not a high fastball pitcher, Mike Leake is not, you've got to figure out a way to change speeds, trick them, and hit your spots.
0-1 pitch outside. You see Gordon's numbers at AAA. The guy likes to run. He's got another big lead. Outside again, 2-1. Mike Leake, a fast worker, but it's slowed down with the man on first base. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ground ball to Phillips. Bobbles it. He will get the out at first. Would have been a stretch to turn 2 anyways, but he could have got the lead runner. But gets the out at first, 2 down.
Now, nice recovery by Brandon Phillips right here, because he immediately sees where the ball is and stays on it. That's one thing that infielders are taught really from the minor leagues on. I mean, just when you bobble a ball, don't hang your head and waltz over to it slowly. Stay on it. You may be able to make something out of nothing right there. He saves himself an error, and he gets the Reds an out.
And you could tell he was very aware who was running down that first base line. He got that ball and heaved it. With 2 down, here's Adrian Gonzalez. Grounded out his first time up. Mike Leake trying to limit the damage here in the 3rd. As in no damage. Base open, 2-0 count. Hate to pitch around a guy like him because you got Hanley Ramirez standing in the on deck circle. Ground ball right side. Diving Votto gets up, flips to Leake. Pretty play. So Leake strands 1. The Reds trying to cut into a 2-0 Dodger lead. about the Big Red Machine back in the 70s and is excited for this weekend's events. You can get a preview of tomorrow's UC Illinois game as the Bearcats look to improve to 2-0, and Urban Meyer would prefer to be the underdog in tomorrow's game versus San Diego State. FoxSportsOhio.com has complete coverage from all of today's action involving Ohio sports. All right, Reds fan, if a Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during tonight's game, Chris Jones from Milan, Indiana, will be a proud owner of a 2004 Tacoma. He'll win that beautiful Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by visiting your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Here we go in the bottom of the third. Devin Mesoraco will get his first at bat, and the new pitcher for the Dodgers is Stephen Fife. Goggles and all.
Fife, drafted, developed by the Boston Red Sox, came over in a 2011 trade along with the catcher Fedorovich in a deal from the Red Sox. Made his major league debut for the Dodgers last year. Did 5'6", 220-pounder.
Fouled off. He's down 2-0. As you look at Mesoraco's numbers. Jim Day alongside Chris Welch. Glad he could join us for Friday Night Reds baseball. Stephen Fife. Here he comes. Swing and a miss. Fourth strikeout by Reds hitters. One down for Mike Lee.
And 3 in a row as Capuano got one. Frazier, Kozar struck out with Moylan, the guy that came in and pitched only 1/3 of an inning after warming up on the mound in relief of that injured starter. And now Fife gets one to start off his inning. .203 average for Mike Lee. First pitch swinging into left field, coming on and grabbing it is Carl Crawford. Some good wood on that one, but Crawford runs it down, 2 down in the inning. Back to the top of the order in Shin Soo Choo. How many times do you think Stephen Fife has heard Barney Fife references? I wouldn't think all that many, because he's only, what, 26 years old. I think Barney Fife was long retired by the time he was old enough to figure out where the remote control is.
Oh, no. Barney Fife lives on forever in reruns. But you're right. Probably not too many of the current major league players are tuning into the Andy Griffith Show.
He might not even know what a rerun is.
Strike called. 0-2 to Shin Soo Choo.
You know, the interesting thing about this particular series, and we'll talk about it more as the game goes on, but a lot of people are looking at this Dodger Reds 3-game set here as maybe a preview of what the postseason may look like.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Dodgers are in a strong position where they are. They've got a 12-game magic number in order to clinch a playoff spot. The Reds are in good shot to be in the postseason. Reds will see 2 of the top starters in that Dodger rotation, and Greinke and Clayton Kershaw the last 2 games of the series.
Yeah, because of that, a lot of pressure to win this game tonight, because it's tough to beat Greinke and Kershaw when they're on their game. 2-2 pitch.
You made mention of it earlier, how the Dodgers can really afford to rest some of their players. Not exactly coast, because you don't want to do that, but you want to make sure that your guys aren't worn out when the playoffs come. Whereas the Reds, every one of these victories means something. Every one of these games, they need to figure out a way to put a W on the board because they don't have the Cardinals anymore head-to-head. They do have 6 left with the Pittsburgh Pirates, 6 of those of the last 9 games they play. But in the meantime, you've got to collect some W's.
Mattingly has spoken to that very fact right there. It's inside, and Shin-Soo Choo draws a 2-out walk. Mattingly was asked about resting the players or injured players. For instance, holding Puig out of Tuesday's game and him only pinch hitting on Wednesday. They held Hanley Ramirez out nursing a hamstring. He said, we're trying to win every day and get home field, but I'm not going to pitch Kershaw and Greinke on short rest to do it, and I'm not going to play Hanley Ramirez with a bad hamstring to do it. So they'd love to get home field advantage in the playoffs. They're chasing the Atlanta Braves in that category. But like you said, you want to be healthy when the playoffs start. That's your #1 goal.
Well, be healthy and playing good baseball. And sometimes the best plans that you lay as far as getting your guys healthy, getting them rest, but not playing your straight 8, if you want to say, your regular 8, right up until the time. It's very difficult for a team, even a good ball club, to flick the switch and expect it to be there when the playoffs arrive. Now, it helps if you have one of the best pitchers in baseball, and they do in Clayton Kershaw. Sometimes teams can come into the playoffs having blown away everybody else during the regular season and just come in flat.
Yep. And we've seen many times wild card team who comes in fighting their life out, or life for their life, to get into the playoffs, and they come into the playoffs hot. Easy out at second base. And the Dodgers still lead 2-0. Toyota. See your Toyota dealer or visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by JTM Food Group, let's create great dishes together. Another gorgeous weather night along the Ohio River. Great American Ballpark lit up in all its beauty. All Brown Stadium. The Reds and Dodgers renewing an old rivalry tonight on Fox Sports Ohio as Mike Leakes goes to work in his 4th inning of work, and he'll face Hanley Ramirez, the guy that touched him up in the 1st inning, 2-run home run, the difference in the game. Frazier gonna let it roll foul. First inning, when he hit that, it was a no-doubter. It was one of those where the left fielder, Ryan Ludwig, didn't even go back. He just kind of looked up. How about that hit speed? 105.7 miles per hour when that bad boy left his bat. Crushed that ball. 0-2 pitch. Behind the plate. Out of play. The Dodgers trying to continue their incredible roll. And I mean incredible roll. It's June 21st. 53-14 record. Think about that. 53-14. It is a 1-2 count and not an 0-2 count, as I previously said. Scoreboard says 0-2, but our man John Browdy, I trust him more with a 1-2 count. And the 1-2 pitch hit hard again past the diving Frazier. And Ramirez, for the second straight time, stings Leake.
Well, I made mention of it earlier, and really the difference for Hanley Ramirez, the guy's been so talented. He was the top prospect in the Boston Red Sox organization when he was traded down to Florida in 2005. Became a superstar down there, somewhat of a moody superstar, if that. And when he got traded out here to Los Angeles, a lot of people were wondering if there were maybe too many egos on this ball club. But from a hitting standpoint, when he gets his foot down and he gets his timing on it, there are a few hitters in the game that can be more fearsome than Hanley Ramirez. Hits for power, hits for average, sprays the ball, and he's got upper deck power.
Here's Andre Ethier. Grounded out his first time up. Back to this incredible historic run by the Dodgers. They were 23-6 in August. 23 wins were the most of any month since they moved to Los Angeles. Dodgers had 25 wins in July of 1947 and 25 wins in August of 1953. But since they've moved to LA, August, most wins ever. And we're talking about a Dodger franchise that is storied. I don't know about the rivalry. Big Red Machine and the Dodgers in the 70s. The Big Red Machine was broken up. The Dodgers went on to dominate the National League into the 80s. But no team has been better in 1 month than in August of this year. Two balls, one strike. Long one, but foul. A loud, long out. Oh, mercy. So what was that guy doing? Trying to protect his family or going for the ball? He ended up smushing his family. We've seen some crazy things of people going after foul balls. It's really a momentary lapse of reason. You kind of just lose your mind. Everything else is just blocked out. You just want to sell out and go for that ball, even if you got to smush your family. There goes the runner.
You look back on that historic month of August that the Dodgers had, and they played some pretty good teams. They started off with a 3-game or a 4-game sweep of the Chicago Cubs, and then they took 3 out of 4 against the St. Louis Cardinals. They swept the Tampa Bay Rays, who at that time were playing very good baseball. And they also played the Red Sox. And the Red Sox were the only team in that month, they were able to take a series from them. They lost 2 out of 3 to Boston, that the Dodgers did. Ethier knew it.
He did big time.
So one former Sun Devil gets the other former Sun Devil.
Second strikeout of the game for Leake. So with one down, he'll face Juan Uribe. Dodgers are double-barreled at third base. In fact, they're double-barreled at second and even first base now, when they went after Michael Young. Everyone was like, why do they need Michael Young? Well, the Dodgers have not stopped. Money doesn't matter. What other people think doesn't matter. They just simply added to their arsenal.
Well, the money that the Dodgers have been able to get through their new television contract really makes them the new beast of the West in the National League. I mean, never before has the Dodgers been in a position to be able to spend money almost faster than it comes in. And it's hard to spend it that much. They get more than $300 million a year in a TV contract. That is 10 times what the Reds get. 10 times. So, you know, if you think they're spending now, well, stay tuned, because it's not going to stop.
There goes the runner. Swing and a miss. Throw down to second. Got him. Devin Mesoraco coming up big.
Hanny Ramirez didn't like it one bit. He thought that he was tagged high and his leg was in there. Mesoraco makes the best of a tough pitch to throw on. There's a slow curveball.
Might have got away with one right there. He's got a pretty good argument. Reds will take it, though. Second base umpire Jim Wolf calls him out. Second out of the inning, and now Uribe with a 1-2 count. Ball to short. Clark's got it. Leake took the long way around, but a 1-2-3 inning.
This is a great weekend. It's the first time that the Great Eight has ever been together here at Great American Ballpark, and it may be the last. Got to talk to Johnny Bench before the game, and the greatest catcher of all time, says Joe Morgan, not only a great second baseman, maybe the greatest he's ever played with.
I thought he was the best player I've ever played with, and maybe played against or anything else, but and that's the kind of guy he was. I mean, he could draw a walk, steal a base, he could hit the ball in the gap, and he could hit the ball out of the ballpark. The statue might not be tall in stature, but the way he was and the way he played, he was a giant.
You know, it's amazing listening to these guys and talking to them before the game, Jim and Chris. And the one thing Cesar Geronimo said, those years with the Reds and the Big Red Machine, the happiest days of his entire life. And they're all here to share with Joe Morgan his big moment tomorrow morning, guys.
Thank you, Pick. What a weekend it's going to be. Almost unfair to every team that has followed the 75-76 Reds, because inevitably, somewhere along the line, there are comparisons. And it is simply unfair, because that might be the greatest team to ever take the field. And speaking of which, the reunion is tonight. It starts tonight. They're going to have the statue dedication tomorrow and an on-field ceremony before the game. But tonight, after the game, the Great Eight will take the field. Special ceremony, and indeed, you will see it all. Coming up on Reds Live postgame, presented by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a big, big moment. I can't wait to see these guys on the field. 2-2 count to Joey Votto. Fouled off. Think about the Great Eight. Between them, 65 All-Star games, 26 Gold Gloves, 6 MVPs, 6 All-Star Game MVPs, 3 Hall of Famers, should be 4, 2 Rookies of the Year, 2 World Series championships back-to-back. I mean, unreal, the numbers. And me and our good friend, statistician Joel Luckup, were pondering before the game. If you had to re-sign the Great Eight after the 76 season, what would they command in today's salary? They'd break the bank.
Maybe only the Dodgers could afford them.
Exactly. You just stole my next line. I mean, think about the money they would command. We're talking about the greatest catcher, number 5, Johnny Bench, greatest second baseman, Hall of Fame first baseman. Votto, single up the middle. Good start to the 4th for the Reds and the first hit of the game. So hopefully tonight is the night. Joey Votto snaps a 0 for 14 skid.
Well, he battles on a 2-2 count and gets an off-speed pitch right there and waits on it enough to slap it through the middle. When all else fails, hit it through the box.
Correction, that was 0 for 13. He walked in the first inning. So the man on, here's Bruce. First pitch of ball, they got that shift on again. This time, though, second baseman Mark Ellis on the infield dirt. Last time up, he was in short right field. Feifel throw over, almost threw it away. Pitch to Bruce. Here it comes. 2-0. Jay Bruce 1 for 2 in his career off of Stephen Fife. That one hit, a home run. And the Beaumont Bomber do it right here. 2-0. Swing and a miss. Throw down to first. Votto's back. Just joining us, Chris Capuano, tonight's starter for the Dodgers, went only an inning and 2/3. He left with what appears to be some type of leg injury. Swing and a miss. 2-2 the count. And Capuano wasn't even supposed to start tonight. Hyun-Jin Ryu was supposed to start. He's out with a stiff back. 2-2 pitch. Inside, we're full. And Ryu's another one of those guys that Don Mattingly just doesn't simply want to push it. Able to go to Capuano, the longtime veteran. He certainly wasn't expecting an early game injury. 3-2 pitch. A blooper. Long run for Ramirez, and he can't get it. And there's where that shift worked against the Dodgers. They were playing normally straight up. That third baseman might have got to that ball.
And Bruce kind of jams himself with a breaking ball right here. He's getting a lot of those off-speed pitches from Stephen Fife.
So Bruce breaks his bat. He gets some new lumber. Meeting on the mound breaks up, and we'll do the 3-2 pitch again. Here comes Fife. Runner going. Bruce, line drive, base hit into left field. With Votto running, he's on to third base. And it's first and third, and nobody out for Cincinnati.
Well, a real heads-up base running play there by Joey Votto. Bruce waits out the count, gets a fastball up, lines it right over the head of Hanley Ramirez at shortstop, but there's nobody home at third. And Joey Votto knows that. I'm sure he had that discussion with Billy Hatcher when he was at first base. And he really never slows down. He realizes once that ball falls into left field, he's going to be able to have a race now to try to beat the normal third baseman, Juan Uribe, back to the bag.
So the shift works against him again. Now Ryan Ludwig, first and third, nobody out. Reds trying to cut into a 2-0 deficit. Ludwig, first pitch swinging. They might turn 2 here, and they do. But
man, is that a heck of a turn there?
That was a big league turn. The Reds do get a run at him. But you're right. Ramirez had to go deep in the hole. What a turn.
I mean, way in the hole at third base. He turns and throws it right on the money. Quick turn by Mark Ellis at second. Man, that's a nice double play. Reds get one, but without that double play ball, they still have a runner first.
So a 2-1 game now. No RBI from Ludwig. First pitch swinging is Frazier off the glove of Ramirez, and Frazier's aboard.
Well, Ramirez not very happy with his third baseman right now. I believe he's going to have some conversation down there saying, hey, Juan Uribe, I had that ball all the way and you shielded me out and I couldn't see it. They're going to give him a base hit on it.
Right in the, what you like to call the 5.5 hole. So here's Kozar. Struck out in the second. The only batter that Peter Moylan faced as he came on to relieve Capuano. Hard hit into left field. Another base hit. So the Reds, who were hitless through the first 3 innings, have 4 hits here in the 4th. But only 1 run to show for it so far.
Well, that's a good looking swing by Zach Kozart. He's staying back on the ball so well. He's getting his front foot down, keeping his hands up.
11-game hit streak for Zach Cozart. Season high. He extends it. Longest streak of his career, ties it at least.
Well, how big is that double play ball right now?
Huge.
I mean, you've really got to take your hat off to the Dodgers defense.
Yep. Rick Honeycutt will talk it over. Whole Dodger infield will have a little powwow. Coming up later in the broadcast, we'll have our Miller time moment. We look forward to that. Pretty good crowd here at Great American Ballpark. Not a sellout, but a good crowd nonetheless. And they can sense the moment. First and second, 2 outs. It's down by a run. Devin Mesoraco. Turn around to second, 0-0. You're getting a pretty big lead there at second base.
I'm not really so sure that Devin Mesoraco is going to get much in the way of a fastball to hit in this at bat. You've got the pitcher in the on deck circle, a couple of runners on base, 1-run ball game, and a real good fastball hitter there in Mesoraco. And that's what the scouting report. They know the Reds about as well as anybody. Of course, one of the top one of the top Dodger scouts, Carl Lowenstein, is here at this ballpark just about every night. I mean, there are no secrets the Dodgers don't know about the Reds.
There's no question. He's here every night and in great spirits. We love seeing Carl. Time call. Big runners on board right now as the Reds trying to tie this game or go ahead. Chop foul, 1-2. Mesoraco has never faced Stephen Fife. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Here comes Fife. Ground ball to third. Uribe. Mesoraco's down. Reds get 4 hits and a run, and they trail by a run. AT&T trivia question. Who are the 8 players involved in the trade that brought Joe Morgan to the Reds? It was the exclamation point, or the final piece of the puzzle, if you will, when Joe Morgan was traded from the Astros to the Reds. Who are the 8 players involved? Can you name them? Chew on that for a little bit. Oh, the answer coming up. And don't Google it now. Don't cheat. Try to come up with them. You got that one?
I think so. I mean, they're all people who you would recognize.
Yes.
If you were
a fan
around
of that era.
back then, and were a big fan and have revisited it, and maybe you Googled it before the game.
When the deal happened, it really wasn't a major deal in Cincinnati as far as when it happened. People didn't say, oh, that's the final piece of the puzzle.
Well,
but as it turned out, it was, and big time.
It was an off-season deal.
Yeah.
And off-season deals back in those days didn't seem to be as much blockbusters as they are now. I mean, winter meetings are covered nowadays, you know, with Twitter and online, and you find out what every general manager is doing about every second of the winter meetings. Back in those days, you hold a press conference, you hear the deal, and you really don't hear about a whole lot of it until the next spring training comes around.
You didn't hear about it unless comebacker to leak. You'll retire Mark Ellis for the first out. You didn't hear about it unless you did that, which is now kind of a novelty thing, of reading the actual newspaper that came to your door. Now you just get on your smartphone and get all the news you want. Or in my case, a dumb phone.
Yeah, but don't you need something to wake you up? I mean, doesn't the thud of the paper against the front door?
Hey, I still read the paper. I'm old school. I like to have the physical paper in my hand. Plus, it's tough carrying that computer into the restroom. You know what I mean?
So what do you wrap your fish in if you don't to get the paper?
That too. Tim Fedorovich. Lined out to Brandon Phillips first time up. Now he's behind 1-2 to Mike Leake. Leake has settled down since that first inning where Puig had an infield single and Hanley Ramirez hit a 2-run bomb.
Yeah, and that's not really like he was losing control in that inning. It happened so quickly. And that's really what Mike Leake's last 5 or 6 games have been like, at least in his mind. And even in the mind of Brian Price, pitching coaches, well, you know, he hasn't pitched all that badly. It just seems like every time the other team has an opportunity to capitalize, they do. Pretty good little curveball right there. Strikeout number 3.
And this just in. Hanley Ramirez has touched up many pitchers. So as you said, it wasn't like he just lost control of the inning. Stephen Fife hitting. Fife has 2 innings in the book as a pitcher, and he will continue on as Moylan and Stephen Fife trying to pick up the pieces for the injured Chris Capuano as Leake strikes out 2 in a row, 4 of them overall. The Reds down by a run. involved in the trade that brought Joe Morgan to the Reds. Welsh, you said you had him, and here they are. Coming to the Reds, Joe Morgan, Ed Armbrister, Jack Billingham, Cactus Jack, Cesar Geronimo, and Dennis Minke. Going to the Astros, Tommy Helms, the Big Bopper, Lee May, and Jimmy Stewart. Tommy Helms was a terrific infielder. Lee May, great player. But when you look at Morgan, Armbrister, Billingham, Geronimo, Minke, I'd say the Reds got the better end of it.
Well, you know, the Astros needed a first baseman.
Big time.
And they got Lee May. Guy was hitting 30 home runs a year. Jimmy Stewart, they needed a shortstop if they were going to move Menke over and so on. And it was a trade that at the time really fit the Astros as well as it did the Cincinnati Reds. In fact, you could read all about it in a book that's been out for a while called The Big Red Dynasty by Greg Rhodes and John Arroyo. I read it before the game. Joe Lucca brought it in. There's about a 3 or 4 page description of that particular trade, what led up to it, all the factors Bob Howsam took into consideration. Ray Shore was the scout that scouted the Houston Astros, really up and down. And when they were finally able to make the deal, it took a long time to finally come around. The Reds knew what they were getting, and I'm not so sure that the Astros knew what they were giving up.
Well, 5 Reds Hall of Famers were in the deal. Morgan, Helms is a Reds Hall of Famer. We love Tommy Helms. Lee May, maybe the funniest guy on the planet. Billingham and Geronimo, all in the Reds Hall of Fame, all part of that trade. Cardinal sin. Fife walks his counterpart, Mike Leake, to begin the 5th here for Cincinnati. Get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live has everything you need to know for that night's game, and it's only on your exclusive home for Reds baseball. Reds Live is presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. So Leake gets the walk. It is the 3rd walk from Dodger pitching tonight. So we'll see how far the Dodgers will stick with Stephen Fife. Looks like they're stirring around down there in the Dodger bullpen. In fact, here comes Mattingly to the mound. Shin-Soo Choo up. Looks like he's going to call on the left-hander J.P. Howell. Pride of Evansville, Indiana, will make the switch.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you would think it's a little early in the game to start playing matchups, but when you have September rosters, you can do things you don't do normally the rest of the year.
And he just hit, so they want him to stay in there, well, I'm sure.
He's looking at Jim Joyce right now, and he might be, Don Mattingly that is, pulling the old time sort of trick, which is you look at the umpire and you say, well, what do you think, Jim Joyce? Should I take him out or leave him in?
That's some of the greatest audio ever. Know exactly what you're talking about.
Jim Joyce, well, he's made the change.
The stall tactic. Indeed, J.P. Howell will come in. iPad, build your stadium and make the decisions to guide your team to the World Series. Download MLB Ballpark Empire for free today. Data and usage rates may apply. They just announced Chris Capuano, as you look at the numbers of J.P. Howe, left the game with a mild groin strain. There's the official report on that.
Howe, left-hander, brought in as a free agent from the Tampa Bay Rays last year.
He will face Shin-Soo Choo. Mike Leake on first base, nobody out. Howe will soft toss over. Choo has faced Howe 8 times in his career. 3 hits. First pitch to Mr. Choo inside. One ball, no strikes. Here comes Howe. 2-0. I'll tell you what, Dusty Baker had some glowing words about Shin-Soo Choo before today's game. He's been raving about him all season. But he thinks that he hasn't even reached his ceiling as a baseball player, even though he's been around for a while. That he continues to get better and better, and as he learns National League pitching, he thinks that his best days are still ahead of him, whether it be here in September in the playoffs or the years to come. Late call by Jim Joyce, but he calls a strike. Choo didn't like it. Box track says it was a strike. The 2-1. Blocked again.
You know, I would agree with Dusty on that assessment of Mr. Choo. I think that he gets around this league a little bit more. You've been in ballparks this year. Choo has, where he's never been before. You see pitches you've never seen before. And the more comfortable you get as a hitter, the better you become. This is a great outfield for him, too, period. A lot of question marks early on. Could he play center field? This is a better center fielder for a guy that is not a great speedster. He's got above average speed, but he's not Billy Hamilton or Drew Stubbs type of speed.
Ground ball right through the box, up the middle. Leake will stop at second base. And the Reds in business. First and second, nobody out.
Well, he took a page out of the Joey Votto book right there. When all else fails, take a breaking ball back through the middle off the left-hander. And that's what he does. Nearly knocks J.P. Howe down with that one.
And we talked about it before. Shin-Soo Choo continues to hit lefties much better. It's early July, just under 280 average. Compared to it's really a dismal start to the season against lefties as far as average goes. Still has that on-base percentage, lefty or right. And here's Brandon Phillips. Team leading 101 RBIs. A couple sitting out there right now. Choo takes his lead from first. Leake from second. The bearded J.P. Howe set to face the goateed Brandon Phillips. And a 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. .354 average with runners in scoring position. 4 home runs and 80 of his 101 RBIs have come with the runners in scoring position. Long look in from Howe. Now he's ready. Phillips, ground ball to third. Uribe steps on third, on to first, and a 5-3 double play. A second big double play of the game for the Dodgers.
Puig is looking around because maybe Hanley Ramirez saying to him, hey, why didn't you throw the second throw there, or the throw to second base rather than all the way across the infield? Don't know if he had time to get you. I imagine that's probably what that conversation is about. Chu moves into scoring position. That might be getting greedy. Take a look at Chu now at the top right of your screen. Would he have had time to go on the bag and then go to second base? And he certainly would have, as you see it again.
So he doesn't go to second, and Chu's standing on second base, or leading off from second. Here's Votto with 2 outs. Last time up, Votto snapped an 0 for 13 with a single and scored the Reds' only run. Second big twin killing of the night for the Dodgers. They did it back in the 4th when the Reds scored their only run. There's that runners on first and third and nobody out. Ryan Ludwig grounded into a 6-4-3 double play, which scored Votto. Long drive, left center field. That bad boy is gone. Joey Votto, 2-run home run, and the Reds take the lead.
He wanted it down and in. He got it down and out over the plate. And J.P. Howe, the left-hander, brought in to get a guy like Joey Votto out. Does the opposite. Votto coming out of it big time tonight. 2 hits with a 2-run homer.
First pitch swinging, Jay Bruce. Look out. Ethier finally ends up with it. But Joseph Daniel Votto snaps out of it, and big time. 2-run home run, and the Reds lead. Chris Capuano, the starter for the Dodgers tonight, had to leave early. Mild groin strain. He turned it over to the bullpen, and Ryan Ludwig grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. A great turn by the Dodgers, but Votto scored on it for the Reds' first run. And then Votto, 2-run home run, his 22nd of the season. And the Reds with a 3-2 lead. Things heating up. Talked about it at the top. Is this the night that Joey Votto breaks out? And so far, yes, indeed. Top of the order for the Dodgers here in the 6th, Carl Crawford. 0 for 2. And we've seen so many times Joey Votto with that opposite field power. I've often wondered how he would be in a place like Fenway Park. Would he be like Wade Boggs, who would just wear out that green monster, just constantly hitting it out there? Well, let's hope we never find out.
I'm not so sure I even want to go there.
Let's not find out, unless the Reds play there. He's signed for a long time. All right, scratch that from the record, Judge. But nonetheless, he is a terrific opposite field hitter. 1-2 pitch to Crawford in the dirt. By the way, tomorrow there'll be a Joe Morgan statue unveiling tomorrow morning. Part 2 of the Great 8 reunion. Standing room tickets are available, so it's going to be a sellout tomorrow. You can come down to the ballpark if you're within earshot. Tickets are $8. The ticket office tonight, Chopper to Phillips, 1 down. Or you can get a standing room only ticket tomorrow for $10. 10 a.m. Latest statue will be unveiled. Dedication outside of Great American Ballpark. Open to the public. Don't have to have a ticket to the game for that. 12:20, the Great 8 introductions on the field. An on-field ceremony. You'll hear from Joe Morgan. Might even shed a tear tomorrow. He'll throw out the ceremonial first pitch, and then 105 game, Reds and Dodgers. You also get a Joe Morgan t-shirt tomorrow, which I saw. Old school look to it. The drive into right field, the bat of Puig, but plenty of room for Bruce, and 2 down.
Well, don't look now, but Mike Leake has really settled down. Not that he ever was really on the cusp of losing anything. He just hung a pitch to Hanley Ramirez, who hit one out of here.
Not much let up in this Dodger order, particularly at the top. You deal with Puig. Now he deals with Gonzalez, Ramirez in the on-deck circle, Andre Ethier. Great numbers against him in his career. I mean, it just doesn't let up.
Well, championship teams tend to be like that.
Yep.
What do you think those pitchers who pitched against the Big Red Machine felt like?
Mercy. Can you imagine?
Well, and since the bunt single by D. Gordon, and he was erased by a great throw on an attempted stolen base, Mike Leake has faced the minimum.
Broken bat. Right field, an easy inning for Leake. 1-2-3. Reds lead 3-2. Baseball when they take on these very Los Angeles Dodgers. Cheer on your Cincinnati Reds as they fight for the postseason. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to reds.com/tickets. 3-2 Reds lead, bottom of the 6th. As Don Mattingly will call on his 5th pitcher of the night so far, with Chris Capuano leaving this game early, and it's right-hander Chris Withrow.
Drafted and signed by the Dodgers. Withrow is from Austin, Texas, lives in Odessa, Texas now, and he is in his first major league season. 18 games overall. First round pick back in 2007. So he's one of the rare right-handed pitchers from Texas that the Cardinals didn't sign.
Yeah, no question. You and Tom talked about that during that series. It's really incredible the amount of Texans on that staff. He'll face Ryan Ludwig to begin the 6th for the Cincinnati Reds. Ludwig 0 for 2. First pitch, swing and foul back. Reds and Fox Sports Ohio would like to send out a belated birthday wish to Joyce Whittemore from Blooming Grove, Indiana. Joyce turned 70 years of age yesterday. Joyce, thanks for being a Reds fan. Happy belated birthday. Come on with it, Indiana. Good Reds fans over there in the Hoosier State. Big series in St. Louis. They're in the bottom of the 3rd. St. Louis with a 2-0 lead on Pittsburgh. Swing and a miss. Ludwig is retired. Fifth strikeout by Dodger pitching tonight.
Pretty good fastball right there by Withrow, and then followed up by a slider that he finally gets Ludwig to swing and miss on. Withrow was disabled last year, and he missed a lot of time with a right lat strain. If that sounds familiar, that's exactly what Johnny Cueto went on the disabled list. So Withrow didn't seem to have any problems so far this year. So it's not one of those injuries that once you have it, it becomes chronic.
Todd Frazier 1 for 2, last time up, infield single. 1-0 pitch. Strike one. In that Cardinal Pirates game, it was Carlos Beltran with a 2 RBI single. That happened in the 1st. Pittsburgh with a 1.5 lead over the Cardinals, 3-game lead over Cincinnati. And you want to talk about needing to build up some confidence against the Pirates. The Pirates have owned the Cardinals this year. After dropping 3 out of 4 to the Reds. Quite the series at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Fouled back. Many people think if the Cardinals get through unscathed and take 2 out of 3 from the Pirates, the rest of the way the schedule does favor St. Louis. After this weekend, at last check, they will not play a team above 500 the rest of the way, and they're loaded up with home games. It'll be a great race here in September for the National League Central Division crown. Fooled Frazier in big time. Second straight strikeout for Chris Withrow. Zach Cozart will step in with 2 outs. Today, USAA would like to pay special recognition to all of our service members at home and abroad. Hear, hear. Zach Cozart singled in the 4th, extended his hitting streak to 11 games. Swing and a miss. A 1. Foul back. So Withrow, after striking out the first 2 batters in this inning, ahead 0-2 to Kozar. Oh-2 pitch. Bring him up. Withrow strikes out the side. We go to the 7th. Reds with a 3-2 lead. And the Redlegs kick off a 3-game series against the Pirates. Stick around after the game and enjoy a spectacular post-game fireworks show. For tickets to see your Reds take on the Pirates, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to reds.com/tickets. And wait for that. Mike Leake clinging to a 3-2 lead as we go into the 7th inning. Reds will play the Pirates 6 of the last 9 games of the season. And an update from St. Louis, the Cardinals now up 3-0 in that game. John Jay RBI double. So here's the matchup that got Leake in inning number 1. Hanley Ramirez. 2 times up, 2-run home run, and a single. 0-1 pitch. Ball to short. Kozar's got it. 1 down. Finally get Ramirez out.
Now how does he get him out? Let's take a look at our Mazda pitch by pitch. This is a very quick at bat by Hanley Ramirez. First pitch breaking ball right there, down and away, good spot. Ramirez gets another one, almost identical spot right there, and it results in a ground ball. That is our Mazda pitch by pitch.
Mike Leake trying to give the Reds an opening game to the series win. Andre Ethier 0 for 2 tonight. Hey, big thanks going out to Penn Station East Coast Subs for feeding us tonight. We got our grub on tonight. Into left field. Back going Ludwig at the wall. He's got it. A loud long out. 2 down. And with 2 outs, Juan Uribe.
Really, the only inning that Mike Leake has had to sweat was that first inning when he pitched 20 of them to get out of it. You have innings down with around 11, 12 pitches. It means you're throwing strikes. They're seeing the ball, but they're not able to center it.
He's retired 10 straight. And has faced the minimum the last 3 2/3 innings.
And Leake is doing it really the way that most pitching coaches would not prefer him to do it, which is not throwing first pitch strikes, but he's throwing a lot of second pitch strikes.
One and two the count. Got him chasing. 1, 2, 3 inning for Leake. He's retired 11 in a row.
Brought to you by Head & Shoulders, now with a hint of Old Spice. And don't forget to use the hashtag #WHIP in your tweets.
Yeah.
To help raise funds for MLB's RBI program, each month the team with the most tweets will receive $10,000 for their local RBI program.
Reds have already won that 3 times, I believe, and it was a big comeback victory in August over these very same Los Angeles Dodgers. Evan Mesoraco with a big cut to lead off the bottom of the 7th for Cincinnati.
And that come from behind win for the Reds, it had a lot to do, I understand, with the efforts of Matt Latos' wife, Dallas.
Yes. Yep. We were a
huge Twitter following, and she was pushing it very much. And so congratulations to Dallas for her efforts, and to the Reds fans who were able to get the Reds Community Fund an extra $10,000.
Lisa Braun heading up the social media efforts from the Reds, does a terrific job. Jamie Ramsey on there. Mesoraco goes chasing, and first out of the inning. And Chris Withrow, since coming on, has struck out all 4 batters that he's faced. And a big round of applause for Mike Leake, who will hit for himself. You know, that August whiff contest, the deadline was 3 a.m. Eastern time. So all of us who were involved had to stay up mighty late. And we were thinking of creative ways for people to retweet us, because even a retweet counts. If you use @Reds and the hashtag #WIF, they counted. The Dodgers were ahead by thousands of tweets.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
The Reds pulled it out.
It's a great effort. Of course, no major effort for you to stay up all night. But those that did stay up to 3 a.m. who are not used to it, congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations really goes out to Reds country out there, because they've really taken it by storm. And $30,000 is no chump change.
Who is this guy?
Chris Withrow has faced 5 batters and struck out every one of them. 9 strikeouts now by Dodger pitching. Local college football is on Fox Sports Ohio tomorrow afternoon. Don Treadwell, and his Miami Redhawks roll into Lexington to take on the Kentucky Wildcats in a non-conference matchup. Don't miss the kickoff tomorrow at noon right here on Fox Sports Ohio. 2 outs, Shin-Soo Choo. First pitch down low. 2-1 for 2. Grounded out in the first. Walked in the third. Singled and scored in the 5th. Can anyone get to Chris Withrow? One pitch in the dirt. Stay tuned, everyone. The Great 8 reunion is coming up. Reds Live postgame will have it all. All of the live introductions on the field. And indeed, Reds got permission from Major League Baseball. One Peter Edward Rose will stroll out. Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Cesar Geronimo, Concepcion, Foster, Griffey. Choo flies out to left. Chris Withrow, perfect 7th. We go to the 8th. Dusty Baker. Reds Live is brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit King'sHondaUSA.com. And it doesn't get any bigger than Reds Live post game tonight. Not only will we put a capper on this game, but the Great 8 reunion is straight ahead. You'll see it in its entirety coming up on the mighty Fox Sports Ohio. Mike Leake begins his 8th inning of work. Mark Ellis steps in, 0 for 2.
You know, it's a the Great 8 honor tomorrow, but there's also a ceremony on the field tomorrow. Started up by Mark Ellis and his wife Sarah, who are going going to host, along with the Reds Community Fund, a baseball team, an 8-year-old baseball team from Union City, Indiana. And Union, Indiana is the place for a young man named Dylan Williams, who was struck by a baseball this year during the All-Star break, and a few days later passed away. And Sarah Ellis read the article in the USA Today about this young man and the family and the team, and wanted to do something about it because they have a daughter named Dylan. So as it turned out, they got in touch with the mayor of Union City, Indiana, and they set it up that the entire family and the youth baseball team will come tomorrow, and the Ellises will present a check, and through the cooperation of the Dodgers Foundation and the Reds Community Fund, they will give some money to the Union City Amateur Baseball Program to get those kids protective helmets. So hopefully nothing like this ever happens again. This is a great gesture on the part of the Dodgers, the Reds, and Mark Ellis and his wife Sarah. They ought to be applauded for that.
Terrific story.
And really, Steve Cobb, who's a member of the Reds ownership group, was the kind of go-between to get them in touch with the folks with the Reds and all. So there's a big circle of friends and family here in Reds country that are all trying to do good things. And Mark Ellis, an all-around good guy.
That's what it's all about. It's the game of baseball on the field, but the game of life so much more important. Lots of humanitarian efforts for baseball players and those involved. And as you said, salute Mark Ellis, his wife, and everyone involved. Pinch hitting for Tim Fedorovich is a guy the Reds are very familiar with, Skip Schumacher, the former St. Louis Cardinal. And he's living the dream because he's a California native and dreamt of playing for the Dodgers. And here he is getting a shot this year. When he hit his first home run in a Dodger uniform this year, I don't know if you can look up the replay somewhere online, etc. But he had the biggest smile coming around third base. You could tell it's like, I just hit a home run in a Dodger uniform. It was really a culmination of a dream. Oh my goodness. How about Leak to Votto there, and the barehander by Votto. Leak went a long way to chase that ball down. And the flip went right into the bare hand of Votto.
This is in no man's land between the pitcher's mound and first base, and you can't play it any better than if you're Mike Leake than the way he does it right there. Votto does a little Brandon Phillips right there with the bare hand action at the end, but that was all Mike Leake. Covering that ground right there. And I think Votto recognizing the fact that you've got one of the more athletic Reds pitchers on the mound. I mean, he got off the mound like a cat.
Really did. He's a terrific athlete. You and Tom talked about this earlier in the week. If you had to pick a pitcher that had to play second or short, I think Mike Leake could pull it off.
No doubt.
They talked about him at Arizona State, that if he wasn't a pitcher, he would have been drafted as a shortstop.
And interestingly enough, he made that play on Skip Schumacher, who he would be that type of player.
Yep. Another pinch hitter, and it's Michael Young. We talked about him earlier. Came over in a trade to the Dodgers. Kind of surprised everyone. Came over from the Phillies. 36 years of age. 300 career hitter. And he himself, like Schumacher, living a dream. He's an LA native. Always dreamt of playing for the Dodgers. And he brings them a great deal of versatility. Not only has he played third base for the Dodgers, he can play second. He played first base earlier this week. In a pinch, I'm sure you can put him out there at shortstop. He's been in 2 World Series. Ooh, crowd wanted that one. Jim Joyce says, nope, not this time. Looks like a good call. That one's going to find some grass. Young is on with a 2-out single here in the 8th, so the tying run aboard. Leake now at 98 pitches, and I think Dusty Baker is going to go to the pen. Here he comes.
Well, you don't hit 300 lifetime without getting a few of these, and it was a good at bat for Michael Young because he hung in there. He didn't chase the previous pitch, which was just off the plate. He stays alive, puts the bat on the ball, and puts it in play. And he causes Dusty Baker to go to the mound and force a pitching change. But an outstanding job tonight by Mike Leake against one of the better offenses you're going to see.
Standing ovation for Mike Leake. He salutes the crowd. He'll turn it over to the bullpen. Here comes Manny Parra. Puig and these Dodgers continue their series here in Cincinnati against Votto and the Reds. Fox Saturday Baseball begins tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern on the Big Fox. Check your local Fox affiliate for that game tomorrow. And tomorrow will be an outstanding pitching matchup. Zach Greinke, one of the best in the business, against the Reds ace Matt Latos. Both 14-game winners, both with ERAs below 3. It's going to be a showdown at GABP. Standing room only tickets being sold for that game. Going to be a big one. And this is a big situation right here as Mike Leake is hoping that Manny Parra can bail him out here in the 8th. 7 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs for Mike Leake tonight. And he turns it over to left-hander Manny Parra. Second straight day of work for Parra through 16 pitches yesterday versus St. Louis. First pitch, ground ball to Phillips. He's got it. Parra one pitch and gets the job done. They go to the bottom of the 8th. Reds with a 3-2 lead. Game 7, 1975 World Series, Fenway Park, and Joe Morgan. You get him how you can get him. Single scores Griffey. Last out squeezed by Cesar Geronimo, and the Reds got off the schneid. People were wondering if they could ever do it. Well, they won back-to-back, 75-76. And most in baseball say the 1975 World Series the greatest ever played. Although I got to tell you, when they show the highlights of that, they always show Carlton Fisk's big home run in Game 6. Now granted, it was a great moment in baseball, but a lot of people think the Red Sox won that series because that's the highlight they show. And the Big Red Machine members joke that, yeah, we won that series 3-4. According to those in Beantown. New pitcher for the Dodgers, it's Paco Rodriguez.
New combination, actually, battery. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Paco Rodriguez, 68 games. This left-hander from Miami, Florida.
First pitch swinging and a hard hit base hit in the left field by Brandon Phillips. First hit of the night for Phillips. I think we're seeing signs of the quad contusion last night, and don't look now. But Dusty Baker saw the same thing. Phillips struggling to get out of the box with that quad contusion. And here comes Billy Hamilton again. Inserted twice as a pinch runner into the Cardinal series. Both times stole second base. Both times scored a run.
Well, he's had an impact already on this ball club in the 2 games in which he has pinch run. He's made a difference.
So here we go. A.J. Ellis versus Billy Hamilton. Joey Votto at the plate, and Paco Rodriguez. Little taunting move. Hamilton barely moved.
Well, first time now that Hamilton has been on with a left-handed pitcher on the mound here in the major leagues.
And you can tell by the lead he's getting. It's not as big a lead as we saw in the Cardinals series.
Right, you don't normally need as big a lead against the left-handers. You do a right-hander. Rodriguez.
Ellis, I'm sorry, Chris.
Rodriguez last year was playing for and closing for the University of Florida. So he was drafted in 2012, and he's just about gone right to the major leagues. Second round draft pick, 82nd taken overall. I'm sure while he was playing college ball down there in Gainesville, he was reading about Billy Hamilton.
Rodriguez finally coming to the plate, and Votto fouls it off. A.J. Ellis, 20 of 51. Caught stealing from behind the plate.
I wonder how many Reds players this year have stolen a base with Joey Votto at the plate. Because it seems like that's one of those rules, those unwritten, unspoken rules, that you want to leave that right side of the infield open in case Votto rolls over on one and gets it into this area there. But in a one-run ball game, would you rather have Billy Hamilton on second?
Yes, sir. Crowd here not happy at all.
Well, our Munchin's Furniture look at that slow-mo look at Joey Votto's home run swing. In real life, it was a lot faster than that because he hit it out going opposite field. That was a pretty good pitch he got, went down to get it.
A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Lexington, Kentucky native. Billy Hamilton, the pride of Mississippi, takes his lead from first. Swing and a miss by Votto. He's down 0-2.
You know, I think this is the first time that Joey Votto's had to deal with a runner at first base who might be stealing. I mean, right now, just about everybody in this ballpark is watching Billy Hamilton and not Joey Votto.
And him leaning a little bit right there.
I'll tell you what, if you throw over that slow, Billy Hamilton could just get a good lead and keep on running and just go on first move. And a lot of times against a left-handed pitcher, that's the strategy. He would be best advised when he throws the first, throw it firm to give Adrian Gonzalez a chance if you do have him going.
0-2 pitch. There he goes. Check swing in there. 3 steal attempts, 3 stolen bases in the young career Billy Hamilton.
Well, you pick a good pitch because you figure Paco Rodriguez on a 0-2 count is going to try to bounce a breaking ball. He doesn't have the fastball to throw it by Joey Votto, so that's his best 0-2 shot unless he was going to come up and in. And Billy Hamilton, just like that, has his 3rd major league stolen base in as many tries.
One-two pitch to Votto. Outside, we're even up 2-2. Dusty Baker's gone to the well 3 times with Hamilton. He's halfway there as far as the success he's had. First 2 steals, he scored both times. Can he score here? 2-2 pitch to Votto. Outside, 3-2.
Nibble, nibble.
Base open at first. This might be the classic pitch around, although you got Jay Bruce in the on-deck circle. The 90 RBI man, Jay Bruce. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Check swing. Says third base umpire Ed Hickox. And Votto's aboard with a walk. So first and second, nobody out.
Side look. This is what Ed Hickox looks at right there. And, you know, we talked about this from time to time. Ken Griffey Jr. used to use a black bat for the sole reason that it would make it hard on that umpire to determine whether he went or not. And we gave you a look at what Ed Hickox looks at, and it's difficult to see that bat exactly where it is.
And we're slowing it down.
Yeah.
He's got to look at it full speed. All right, here we go. First and second, nobody out. Jay Bruce. Lefty versus lefty. Bruce 0 for 1 in his career off of Paco Rodriguez. Ball gets away. Both runners will move up. Second and third, nobody out.
The Reds played add-on in their game. The last game they had the 4th of 4 against the Cardinals and really put it out of reach. And here in the 8th inning, they've got a chance to really help the bullpen by adding a couple of runs right here and make it awfully difficult for the Dodgers to come back and get into it. Mark Berry explaining to Billy Hamilton what he wants him to do. The Dodgers will bring their infield in. They'll try to cut the run off at the plate.
One 0. Long drive, but foul. That would have brought the house down. Look out. Just a little bit ahead. One ball, 1 strike. Second and third, nobody out. Here's the pitch. Check swing. 2-1. By the way, on that steal with Hamilton, Hamilton is the first Reds player since at least 1916 to steal a base in the first 3 MLB games of his career.
Still looking for his first at bat.
Yeah. That's a lot of Reds players since 1916. First one to do it. Will he score again? Two-one pitch. Outside, 3-1. For that long foul ball, the base open at first. Rodriguez might indeed put Bruce down there at first base. It's one pitch away from doing so. Way ahead is Bruce, and we're full at 3-2. Pulled the string on that one. $33,778 fans at Great American Ballpark tonight. Payoff pitch. Fouled off. Try the 3-2 again. Fouled off. Hanging tough. This is what it's all about. Playoff atmosphere here at GABP. There weren't big crowds during that Cardinal series, but I tell you what, they were enthusiastic. It was a playoff atmosphere. And tonight, two of the best teams in the National League tangling in a one-run game. Third try at a 3-2 pitch. And he walked him. Bases loaded, nobody out for Ryan Ludwig. See what Don Mattingly does here. Indeed, he's coming up the steps. And he will go to the mound. So Paco Rodriguez gives up a single to Phillips. A stolen base by pinch runner Billy Hamilton. And he walks back-to-back hitters, Votto and Bruce, to load the bases and nobody out, and he's done. And look who is coming in. Brian Wilson and the beard. Joey Votto, 2-run home run, the difference right now. And the Reds like to play add-on. Bases loaded, nobody out. Ryan Ludwig at the plate. The new pitcher, Brian Wilson. First pitch, a swing and a miss.
Yeah, Brian Wilson, if that name sounds familiar, we're not talking about the Beach Boy. We're talking about the former San Francisco Giant closer. A dominant closer, recovering from Tommy John surgery that he had last year. He did a few tryouts, eventually signed here, of all places. Former Giant, now pitching for the Dodgers.
Oh, 1 pitch outside. Ludwig 1 for 6 in his career off of Wilson. And ironically, 1 for 6 against his beard. You talked about coming over from the Giants. He got a lot of grief from Giants fans, but he was like, hey, they're the only one offering me a job. What would you do? Swing and a miss. Ludwig went chasing.
Yeah, he's got a slider working still, that's for certain. In fact, it was when the Reds were in San Francisco that a couple of the Giants coaches snuck out to watch him in a workout. And it didn't sit very well with the general manager from what we understood, but Dave Righetti and one of the other coaches went out and watched Brian Wilson throw at University of San Francisco. They decided not to sign him, and here he is in L.A.
He's ahead 1-2. Outside 2-2.
Of course, that big black beard that Wilson wears started a whole trend in San Francisco. The fear of the beard theme. Got a lot of potential for growing things in there.
No question. 2-2 pitch. Right back to Wilson, and he makes the double play by retiring the runner at third base. Hamilton going on contact, and once again the Dodgers turn a double play that could come up huge.
Couldn't hit it harder than that. Look at the dive by the second baseman, Mark Ellis. The ball never got to him, but he dove anyway in anticipation of that ball getting by the pitcher Brian Wilson. Quick reaction by Brian Wilson. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but Reds actually, if you look at it in one way, they're lucky they didn't run into a triple play right there.
Todd Frazier takes a first pitch ball. That ball went right into the glove of Wilson. He didn't even have to move it. Wow. Still first and second, 2 outs. Frazier 1 for 3, single back in the 4th. Outside. Two balls, no strikes, 2 outs. Fouled off. Looking ahead to the 9th, the question would be, if it's a save situation, would the Reds run Aroldis Chapman out there for the 4th consecutive game? The answer appears to be yes. Cuban Missile, the only one warming up in the pen. And he will face the heart of the Dodgers order. Right now, the Reds trying to play add-on. Swing and a miss. And after falling behind 2-0, Wilson's evened it up at 2-2. Right back to Wilson again. So bases loaded and nobody out.
Ball at the plate.
And the dot, well, indeed. Home plate umpire Jim Joyce says that one went off the plate.
And it went off his foot, actually, is what he's saying. If it went off the plate, it would be a fair ball. But fortunately for the Reds, this ball hits right on the toe. And Jim Joyce is able to catch it before any kind of controversy ensues.
Did I say off the plate? My bad. Off his foot. Reds catch a break. See if they can take advantage of it. Comes another 2-2 pitch. Up high. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The runners will be off and running. Go the runners, the 3-2 pitch. And Frazier goes down swinging. So bases loaded, nobody out, and the Dodgers get out of it. We are heading to the 9th. Chapman on. Got not a little bit of it. A lot of it. 432 feet to the second deck in left field. It was a 2-run home run, and it's the only runs they got off of Mike Leake. Leake goes 7 2/3, 2 earned runs. Manny Parra faces 1 batter in the 8th, retires him, and now it's up to Aroldis Chapman, Chris. It'll be the 4th straight game in which he's pitched.
Yeah, I know that there was a while there that Dusty Baker didn't really want to use Aroldis Chapman 3 days in a row, but he's had 9 days off before he started this 4-game stretch where he's appeared in each one of the Reds games.
As you saw, Derek Robinson, a defensive replacement in left field. Dusty Baker pulling out all the stops to hold on to this 1-run lead. Cesar Esteuras comes in for Brandon Phillips, who singled and turned it over to pinch runner Billy Hamilton with that quad contusion. So Esteuras at second, Robinson in left, Chapman on the mound, and he will face the heart of the order: Puig, Gonzalez, Ramirez. Yasiel Puig has never faced Aroldis Chapman. This is going to be some kind of matchup right here.
Well, not only is it a matchup of 2 great players, but it's a matchup of Cuban defectors. Just a few years ago, each of these guys living in poverty, dreaming of playing American baseball, and here they are on the big stage in a pennant stretch.
Here we go. Swing and a miss. 99 miles per hour.
Now, if you're wondering if Aroldis Chapman has ever faced or even knows Yasiel Puig, the answer is no. We talked to him about that when the Reds were in Los Angeles.
0-1. Swing and a miss. 101 on the gun. So 2 pitches, so far so good. Chapman threw 14 pitches on Tuesday, 14 on Wednesday, 20 pitches yesterday.
As Rocco wants it up.
Swing and a miss. 3 pitches and a punch out. A big out for Aroldis Chapman. Bringing the gas.
Harder, harder, and higher.
It's getting good now. Adrian Gonzalez 0 for 3 tonight. Fouls it back. Gonzalez 0 for 1 in his career versus Chapman. Lefty versus lefty matchup. And the 0-1 pitch. It hit his bat. One pitch. Up high. 2-1. Still weird to say, but he took some off on the 90-mile-per-hour pitch. Swing and a miss. Two. Swing and a miss. Aroldis Chapman faced 2 and struck out 2.
Certainly no drop-off in stuff for the Reds closer, despite the fact that he's now appeared in 4 consecutive games. Still dialing it up over 100. And he has just gone through 2 of the toughest hitters in the National League with nothing but heat.
First time Aroldis Chapman has ever pitched 4 straight days. First pitch, strike to Hanley Ramirez. Over 33,000 to their feet. Ramirez with the big shot in this game, a 2-run home run in the first. Chapman 2 strikes away from a Reds victory. Strike 2. Place is jacked. 0-2 pitch. High. This is what it's all about. You gotta love this. 1-2 pitch. Oh! 101 mile per hour, just inside. Maybe a little more inside than just inside, but boy did the crowd want it. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 1 run, Reds lead. Swing and a miss. The bat goes flying, but chalk it up. Redlegs win. And the question answered. Can Aroldis Chapman be effective pitching 4 straight days? An emphatic yes. After taking 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals, the Reds win game 1 of 3 versus the Dodgers, 3-2. Aroldis Chapman strikes out the side.
First it was Yasiel Puig. High heat. See you later. Adrian Gonzalez. Heat down the middle. See you later. And Hanley Ramirez fires a bat into the stands. And Dusty Baker watches as his closer rises to the occasion and puts the side down 1-2-3.
What a night at the Yard. And it's not done yet. The Great 8 reunion coming up on your home for Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio.